A student's overview of the Ageless wisdom was carefully compiled from the following books by Alice A. Bailey. A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. Esoteric Psychology, Volumes 1 and 2. Esoteric Healing. Esoteric Astrology. The Rays and the Initiations. Students are encouraged to download the free PDF version of this overview by following the link in the video's description, or to order a printed copy at cost from thebookpatch.com, but are advised to read the original, unabridged books in order to gain deeper insight into the ageless wisdom. Students are also invited to join our online study group at facebook.com/groups/students of the ageless wisdom. Chapter 9, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire. The Future of Manas. 1. Characteristics of manas might be summed up as A. Discrimination. B. Ordered activity. C. Adaptability. A. Discrimination, the quality of manas by which man is enabled to intelligently distinguish between the self and the not-self, exists upon all planes and is threefold in manifestation. 1. Discrimination between the I consciousness and that which is cognized as the external world. 2. Discrimination between the ego and the personality, between his subjective self or soul, and the bodies which hold that soul enshrined. 3. Discrimination between soul and spirit. Only the voluntary merging of interest and of aim is of value, and this only is demonstrated by the man as he nears the final part of the path of evolution. It is incident upon an earlier stage of intense self-assertion and intense self-realization. This stage is with us now and is the basis of the preservation of identity. It distinguishes the logos and all forms within his body, the planetary logo and all forms within their bodies, as well as man and all forms within his body. I am refers to the personality consciousness on the three lower planes. It concerns a man's realization of his place upon the globe within a chain. I am that refers to his egoic consciousness and to the planes of the triad. It concerns a man's realization of his place within the chain and his relationship to the group. I am that I am refers to a man's monadic consciousness and his relationship to the planes of abstraction. It concerns his realization of his position in the scheme. When the initiate can say, I am that I am, then he has merged himself with his divine essence and is free from form. B. Ordered activity. This is the concept of intelligent purpose, pursuing a fixed and settled plan and working out a preconceived ideal in time and space. The fifth, mental, plane, may be considered as holding a position in a heavenly man that is symbolically analogous to that held by the causal bodies of the units on his ray. As a result, some causal bodies are on the third and some on the second subplanes. The intricacy is excessive, producing geometrical forms. All is ordered activity of the units, each pursuing his own self-centered purpose, until the groups recognize the oneness of self-interest and therefore work actively and intelligently with the corporate body. After the fifth round and the passing into temporary obscuration of 2/5 of the human family, the remaining units will achieve an approximate standing as follows. 1/1/5 will achieve the 6th and 7th initiations and mantrically sound the words I am that I am. 2/2/5 will achieve the 5th initiation and know themselves as I am that while they cultivate a response to an even higher note. 3/5 will attain the third initiation and will know themselves as I am that in full consciousness. 4. The remaining units will be those who are treading the path and beginning to know themselves as the group. C. Adaptability. The primary attribute of the third ray, or the Brahma aspect. It works under the laws of economy and attraction. This is the work of the Mahachohan and the four lords of the ray of attribute. 2. Development of the human mind. Before the four types of force, or these four planetary influences are studied, students should keep the following in mind. A. Each of them has swung into power during earlier world cycles. B. One of them is the major influence or vibration of the planet and is ever present. C. Certain of them are passing out of power, others are coming in. End of page 42. D. The third ray of aspect will predominate at the end of the fifth round. In the sixth it will be paralleled by the second ray. In the seventh round the second ray will predominate and the influence of the third will weaken as the first ray will set its second great impulse upon our planetary evolution by the obscuration of 2/5 of humanity, whose influence might be considered as threefold. 1. At human individualization in the middle of the third root race, produced by a vast destruction of the forms we call animal man, thus producing the possibility of the newly vitalized causal bodies taking new physical vehicles. 2. The fifth round, at the so-called judgment, will bring about the apparent destruction of 2/5 of the human family and the translation of the indwelling unites of consciousness to other spheres more suited to their stage of evolution. This event will be regarded as a catastrophe at the time, but the knowers will see and know, and 3/5 of the human family will understand the reason. 3. At the final absorption of the perfected monads into their emanating source in the seventh round. This will be marked by obscuration and the destruction of the form, although suffering will be practically nil as the human units involved will have reached a stage where they can consciously cooperate in the process of abstraction. As regards man, it is thus evident that the fourth, fifth and seventh rounds hold the key to the first aspect. For the devas it is the first, second and sixth. For the involutionary entity whom we call the spirit of the planet, it is simply the third. Ray effects. Every ray affects, in more or less degree, the plane or subplane which is its numerical correspondence. Fourth ray effects. The second manasic aspect will work out in the following ways. In the development of the intuition by the means of the knowledge of sound vibration and the higher mathematics. Music as a means to be employed in building and destroying, will be recognized and the laws of levitation and of rhythmic movement in all forms, from an atom to a solar system, will be studied. The manipulation of matter by the means of sound will be practiced on the two lower planes, and when the synthesis of the four rays in the third is in the process of accomplishment, a similar knowledge will be displayed upon the mental plane and the laws of fire will be gradually permitted exoteric publication. Healing will fall into two departments. 1. Vitalization by means of electricity, as well as solar and planetary radiation, prana. 2. Definite curative processes, through the occult knowledge of the force, chakra, centers and the work of the devas of the fourth ether. Religious students will study the life side of manifestation just as the scientist studies the matter and both will come to a realization of the close relation between the two. 1. the magical force of the seventh logos is felt at the first initiation. 2. The aggressive fire of the sixth logos at the second. 3. The illuminating light of the fifth logos at the third. 4. The harmonizing life of the fourth logos at the fourth. 5. The blending power of the third logos at the fifth. 6. The unifying heat of the second logos at the sixth. 7. The dynamic electricity of the first logos at the seventh. Fifth ray effects. This ray concerns itself with the building of form, the utilization of matter and the embodying of ideas. This influence has waxed and waned, dying down during the fourth trace and waxing steadily greater during this fifth, or Orion. For a period immediately ahead, his electrical energizing force will pour on the planet and bring fresh discoveries about matter and form, and energy in matter. End of page 43. The fifth ray was largely responsible for the manasic stimulation of animal man in the third root trace, so in the fifth round he will be instrumental in causing that great separation which we call judgment. The law of analogy always serves, as in the fifth round, for instance, the fifth chain, a center in the body of the heavenly man, will be the recipient of this fifth type of force and will transmit it to other chains via their fifth globe. He has his correspondence upon the fifth subplane of all the planes, especially in the three worlds of human endeavor. Sixth ray effects. This ray of devotion is passing out of influence at this time, and egos who are on that particular ray will take form elsewhere on other globes and in other chains, and not on Earth. A psychical manifestation of this can be seen in the dying down of religious enthusiasm. It will be apparent how the knowledge of these cycles, and of the force manifestation or obscuration of a ray will eventually lead to a working with the law and intelligent cooperation with the plan of evolution. Seventh ray effects. In all that has been given about the rays with regard to man's evolution, it is clear that the fourth ray of harmony, which is the dominant ray of the greater cycle which includes the fourth round and globe, and the seventh ray of ceremonial magic, which is one of the foremost influenced concerned in all objective manifestations. These two rays, or the force of these planetary logo, are instrumental in bringing about coherency in our present fourth chain, the fourth scheme and on the fourth globe. The fourth and the seventh interact, one acting temporarily as a negative force, the other as a positive. The Lord of the seventh ray works with the ruler of the building devas through the etheric body of all forms, and his work is fundamentally constructive. By the united action of the seventh ray and the Raja Lord of a plane, all is accomplished. He manifests in periods of transition and governs the processes of transmutation, incarnation and transference. The force of vibration of any ray may be summed up as follows. 1. The intelligent purpose of an entity. 2. His life energy working in, through and upon his body of manifestation. 3. His magnetic radiation as it affects his brothers in manifestation. 4. His peculiar coloring or quality, psychological aspect demonstrating through his activities. 5. The effect of this as it influences his brothers within the greater body. 6. His life force as it radiates beyond his own periphery as active energy and stimulating activity, becoming literally one of the aspects of Fohat. The aspects and evolution. Aspect manifestation objectively subjectively evolutionary aspect. Activity the 7 brothers. 7 etheric centers. 7 types of force. Involution and evolution of the kingdoms of nature. Sum total, fire by friction. The mother. The Brahma or matter aspect. Love wisdom. Dragon of wisdom 7 heavenly men. 7 schemes. 7 rays. 7 types of deva and human monads. Sum total, solar fire. Vishnu aspect. Subjectivity or the psyche. The sun in manifestation. Will 7 cosmic entities. 7 heavenly men. 7 qualities. 7 hierarchies. Sum total, electric fire. The one life. Mahadeva. Spirit. End of page 44. In all the constructive work of form building, certain factors enter in which must here be enumerated as they vitally concern our particular heavenly man and the particular plane, the physical on which we undergo experience. These are 1. The will, or the one-pointed purpose of some entity. 2. The material through which the life proposes to manifest, and is found within the ring pass not in 7 grades and in 49 subgrades. 3. The builders who are the vehicle for the divine purpose and who mold matter according to a particular plan, who evolve the forms out of their own nature and substance. 4. A plan by which the work is carried out and which is imparted to the builders, begin latent in their consciousness. 5. Certain words, or mantric sounds, which, when uttered by a greater life, can drive the lesser lives to the fulfillment of constructive purpose. A solar logos, the threefold word gives rise to a sevenfold vibration. B. A heavenly man who, through utterance, sweeps into evolutionary objectivity his scheme and all therein. C. The monad, whose threefold word gives rise to a sevenfold vibration. D. The ego, whose, through sonorous utterance, produces a human being in the 3 worlds. It will be seen that the utterance of sound along the line of force by the trained adept can both utilize deva activity to effect certain results in connection with the form side of manifestation and can drive the life within to definite action. Hence the extreme danger. Power over form and force lies always ready in the hand of those who have done 3 things. 1. Developed the consciousness of the group in which they find themselves. 2. Learned the secret of the notes and tones to which that group responds. 3. Apprehended certain set words and phrases and the due method of chanting and intonation. Development of etheric vision will be due to 2 causes. A. The scientific recognition of the existence of etheric levels, thereby freeing people from the onus of adverse public opinion and thus enabling them to reveal what they know. B. The increased activity of the devas of the ethos, which throws the matter of the etheric levels into active vibration, with consequent reflex action on the eye of man. Future developments. 1. Increased mental activity and the spread of education, resulting in increased cooperation between units and groups whose sole purpose will be to synthesize all lines of human endeavor and thus bring about unification of effort and economy of force in all sectors. 2. The schools of medicine will study the etheric body in its relation to the dense physical body and its functions as the receiver, storer and transmitter of the vital fluids of the system. 3. The true seeker will be a scientist, a devotee and a philosopher. When these are not merged, we have the mystic and the danger of black magic, being governed by the intellect and not by selflessness. There are dangers incident upon contact with the Deva evolution and the knowledge of the powers and forces made available through their agency. 4. The coming into incarnation of numbers of old magicians and occultists, and the rapid growth therefore of recognized psychic powers among the people. This psychism, being tinged with mentality and not being of a purely astral quality, will be even more dangerous than in Atlantean days, for behind it will be a greater conscious purpose. Paralleling the incoming of this large band of seventh-ray magicians are certain initiates below the fourth initiation who hope to offset the vibrations and ward off the menace incident to the advent of the other group. End of page 45. Man, animals and the rays. The profundity of interest lies in the fact that in the one case we are dealing with evolution immediately behind the human and from which man is not as yet wholly emancipated, and in the other we are concerning ourselves with a paralleling evolution, one that is of vast importance in the scheme of things. 1. The animal kingdom holds the same relation to the human as the dense physical body does to the seven principles, and still finds its link with man through correspondences between their bodies of objectivity. 2. The animal kingdom is the third of the kingdoms and is the mother aspect prior to the overshadowing by the Holy Spirit, the manas aspect. Note the resemblance and trace the analogy between the cosmic mother, the systemic mother and the same mother aspect as seen in the animal kingdom as a basis for the evolution of man. Each kingdom acts as the mother to the succeeding one in the evolutionary process. Any group will receive their objective forms, on some plane, from an earlier group. From the third springs the fourth, and from this fourth will emerge the fifth, each receiving germ protection, form, gradual development and nourishment. 3. During the third root race, animal individualization took place and the self-conscious unit, man, came into being. It is of particular interest at this time that we are in the fourth round in a chain as well as in the fourth round as regards the scheme of 7 chains. It has led to evolutionary possibilities of great import. On the moon chain, individualization took place during the 5th race of the 3rd round, and in the next chain to ours on the evolutionary arc, individualization will take place during the 6th race of the 2nd round. 4. In the 4th root race the door between the kingdoms closed and no more of the animal kingdom passed into the human. Expressed in terms of fire or electrical phenomenon, the animal kingdom and the human kingdom turned positive to one another, resulting in repulsion. This repulsion is one reason for the destructive war and the long cycle of cruelty waged between man and the animals. The mystery is hidden in the karma of that being, who for a period during the moon chain, held office as the entity who is the informing evolutionary life of the animal kingdom. In Atlantean days, the lives which composed the third kingdom of nature were divided into 2 groups. A number of these lives were passed and they were swept into incarnating in animal form to continue their evolution. B. The remainder were rejected, and their group will not manifest in physical form until the next round. In the fifth round a corresponding division will take place in the fourth kingdom, and the lives in that kingdom will be subjected to an analogous test. Some will be passed and they will continue their evolution on this planet, while others will go into temporary pralaya. After the rejection in the fourth root trace of 3/4 of the animal units, the remaining triads, or a quarter, proceeded on their way, holding the promise of opportunity for all in time, and the guarantee of their attainment in the next round. Just as the human monads who are passed in the fifth round, will enter into the fifth kingdom before the climax of the seventh, so the animal monads who were passed in this round will achieve individualization during the fifth and enter the fourth kingdom. By turning his thought force upon the animals, man stimulates their latent mentality, which leads in due course to the crisis in the next round. Attention should be paid to the effect of the consciousness of one group upon another group, and the advancement of the lesser by the means of the stimulating power of the greater. No man, for instance, can make definite and specialized progress without his brother benefiting, in the form of the increase of the total consciousness of the group, the stimulation of units in the group magnetism producing increased healing or blending effects upon allied groups. End of page 46. End of chapter 9.